Hey, yo, viewers and viewresses, my name is General Red Strategist, and welcome back to Sir You Being Hunted. This is episode 368 or something like that now, or 369, whichever number it is, it's not really important. Back here, of course, with the Blunderbuss Bust Challenge, and we're on the East Island, the last island that is, so if we can get this one done, then we will have completed the old challenge, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back to beating the challenges that I'm setting myself, instead of losing them, or failing them, as I usually want to do. So I'm kind of looking forward to see, maybe we can get this done in this episode, maybe we can get all the device pieces that we need, and then have things complete. And that way, next episode, we can maybe either just do another podcast-style episode, or perhaps just go on to another challenge. Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? We'll see. You know, it depends on how I feel and all that. Now, the question is, where do we need to head from here? We need to just keep our eye out for wisps, anything that can guide us to where we actually need to be. I'll just take an alarm clock. I've got about 4 of those bloody things. I don't need more of them. What am I doing? Do I have bandages? I've got 3 sets of bandages. That's fine. Got plenty of ammo in this old blunderbuss, so we should be golden for the time being. I think I just saw something down there. Was that a wisp just then? Well, whatever it is, I hope you guys out there are all doing fine and are enjoying and are looking forward to the end of this challenge with anticipation, whether that's going to be a grand victory for me or a humiliating loss, whichever one it is. I'm sure you'll be looking forward to it. But in the meantime, I've when I'm recording this, it is the 6th, is it 6th of February or 7th of February? I've forgotten which number. It's a Sunday, so it's either 6th or the 7th, one or the other. And thing is, as of when I record this video, I've just released the 7th episode of Grey Skies, A War of the Worlds story, on my channel. So that's gone out, and those of you who are kind of interested in watching that, I'm sure will be all over that one. It's it's an interesting game, that one. It's certainly not kind of, how should I say, the most well-made game I think I've ever seen, but then again, I've been enjoying it. Essentially, it's an adaptation of, obviously, War of the Worlds, the story by H.G. Wells. It's loosely based on it, I must say. It's obviously not a perfect recreation of that story, but I was just kind of thinking about it as I was about to record this episode. So the thing is, by the time obviously this episode goes out, truth be told, the episode of Grey Skies, actually, in fact, all episodes of Grey Skies will have actually gone out because I pre-recorded all of them. But that's the thing. I was just thinking about that game, and then I was thinking about Sir You Being Hunted. I was thinking as well about other games that I've played here on the channel, which always struck me in terms of their aesthetic and their ideas. And so I was thinking, has anyone ever tried to create a survival game kind of like this, like Sir You Being Hunted, except it's War of the Worlds and it's Martian tripods that you're having to avoid? I don't know of any game like that. And I know there have been various War of the Worlds games in the past, apart from Grey Skies. People at the start of that series mentioned in comments, for example, that if you go years and years back, you will find various games themed after War of the Worlds. But what's interesting is that I don't think, because obviously in recent years you've had a flurry of what you'd call survival games, obviously starting with, ever since kind of Minecraft had its survival mode, there've been a whole kind of plethora of survival games, like The Forest, Subnautica, Stranded Deep, Green Hell, The Long Dark. I guess you could also maybe count No Man's Sky a little bit. Well, maybe not actually. I guess there are sort of survival mechanics to it, but it's not primarily a survival game. But you know what I mean. I was wondering, has anyone ever created a War of the Worlds themed one? And I don't think anyone ever has. Which could be interesting, because I think that would make for an interesting setting. Could you imagine that? Basically, it's... Could you imagine like the sort of British countryside setting of games like Sir You Being Hunted and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, say, for instance? Or even kind of like the small country town setting of Grey Skies, that kind of thing. But crossed with, obviously, the kind of story of War of the Worlds, crossed with the kind of survival mechanics that you see in survival games. I feel like that would make for an interesting game, that would. And imagine how it would work I sort of have an idea of how that would go. You could have it sort of like where the player has to survive for a certain amount of time. They have to survive a certain amount of days, which they could potentially customize. But the idea is that because obviously the storyline of War of the Worlds goes that the Martians come down, but because they're exposed to Earth bacteria, they eventually die. So you could have like a story in the game or like a mechanic where as various days elapse, you get closer and closer to winning. Because obviously you have to just basically survive for as long as it takes for Earth bacteria to eventually kill off the Martians. It'd be a funny way of doing things. I don't know, maybe something like that. Who knows? But yeah, man, I would love to see. I mean, could you imagine this kind of setting? Could you imagine just seeing a fucking Martian fighting machine, a tripod just looming out over the tops of those trees there? Wouldn't that be awesome? And the thing is, I was talking about this actually in Grey Skies episode 7, but in the original War of the Worlds novel, it's not just the tripods that apparently get mentioned. There are allusions to other Martian machines. So apparently there's like a flying machine that apparently gets mentioned. I have read the original novel before, but not for a long, long time. It's been years, so I can't really remember it too well. But yeah, so there's mention made of a flying machine that the Martians use. There's also, I think, mention of like an excavation machine that the Martians have, which is another sort of interesting thing, which I think could potentially be brought in. I'm pretty sure there's other kind of types of machine as well, similar to the tripods, but which are intended for different functions and whatever else have you. So there's that, ladies and gentlemen. You could have different types of enemies. You could even have the Martians themselves coming down to the ground to try and hunt you out in areas where their machines can't go. Kind of like how you had the aliens in the 2005 War of the Worlds movie going down into the basement to try and find Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning and the guy who plays Ogilvy. But just ideas there, you know. But yeah, like I say, I just find it would be something very interesting, wouldn't it? Actually makes me wonder though, just more generally, have there been really any kind of, apart from War of the Worlds obviously, have there been any other video games loosely based on any of H.G. Wells' novels besides War of the Worlds? Because H.G. Wells was a prolific writer, and I've talked about him before here on the channel, on the Sir You're Being Hunted series, you know. We can think of novels like, you know, The Time Machine, The Sleeper Awakes, The Island of Dr. Moreau, things like that, The First Men in the Moon. And I think it'll be interesting to know if any game dev out there has ever tried to recreate any of those books, or try and loosely adapt them into video game form, or do some kind of video game that's, you know, at least loosely based on those stories. Because that'd be kind of interesting. The First Men in the Moon actually might be another one that would kind of lend itself, I think, because that one's about two scientists who build like a sphere that cancels gravity, and so they can use it as like a spaceship, and they go to the moon. And of course, because he was writing this in the late 1800s, long before the moon had ever been explored, long before the space race. Of course, H.G. Wells took considerable kind of creative freedom as an author in portraying the lunar surface in a really weird way. So it was like a lunar surface that was covered in weird like alien forests and stuff like that. And there were aliens actually living on the moon in his story. I think they were called the Selenites, as in Selene or Selene or however you pronounce the ancient Greek lunar goddess's name. But you know, I think that maybe would be something that would lend itself kind of to a interesting sort of late Victorian, perhaps steampunk style interplanetary survival game. Who knows? All kinds of ideas really for what you could actually do. I'm trying to think as well, like the Island of Dr. Moreau. That's another one that could lend itself to a survival game, like a Pacific island where there's like horrible monsters that are like half man, half beast, things like this, and you're unravelling a story as you go there. Who knows? Plenty of interesting ideas, and I'm sure there are probably game devs out there who've maybe thought about how they could go about doing that, actually adapting H.G. Wells' work into game form. Where should I put this alarm clock over here? Maybe put it over on this side actually. Oh, hold on. Somebody just fired a shot over there, but they don't seem particularly concerned about it. I'm just going to dump that there. I know this is the Blunderbuss Bus Challenge, I should be using this blunderbuss perhaps, but I'm not going to, just because I'm going to kind of save some of the ammo in case when I get back onto the centre island I need to use any of it to blast down any hunters or enemies who are standing between me and the standing stones. Oh, careful. Right, let's crouch down. Yeah, someone's still shooting back there. Who knows what they're up to? What are you up to, you two? You two not concerned about the gunshots going off in the background there? Apparently not. Oh, careful. Stay behind here. That clock will go off at any second. Any moment now, please. There we go. Yep, that guy was running off in a weird direction for a moment then, which is kind of strange, but right, let's go, 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 go. We can get this last one. Boom! Got it. Right, that's all of the device pieces. We're actually not far from the jetty by the looks of it. I don't think. Okay, actually maybe we are a bit of a distance. Can't quite tell. Okay. Yeah. As I said, I've talked about H.G. Wells and all that stuff here on the channel before. I did an episode, you know, it was on War of the Worlds. It was called, I can't remember what number it was, where I was talking about War of the Worlds. And then I did one after that, which I think was very much on H.G. Wells more generally, and his books, his novels. But yeah, adaptations of H.G. Wells' stories in video game form. There's not many that I can think of beyond adaptations of War of the Worlds. Oh man. But you know, H.G. Wells, apart from obviously doing all his sci-fi stories, he did other ones. You know, like the history of Mr. Polly and stuff like that. I think he also did, was it The War in the Air? That might have been a H.G. Wells one. But hang on, I'll resume talking in a second once we get back to the centre. Okay, we're back in, here we are. So yeah, War in the Air. I could have sworn that was a H.G. Wells novel, or short novel as well, written about the idea of an airborne invasion of the UK, like a world war that breaks out, that's fought entirely in the sky. It's obviously H.G. Wells, you know, he was writing at that time when, hold on, let me just scratch my ear. He was writing, obviously, in the sort of turn of the century, around about then, when the whole idea of manned flight was becoming increasingly a reality. Because obviously, you know, around about that time, not long after the late 1800s, you had obviously the Wright brothers and their first aeroplane. But prior to that, you know, hot air balloons and things like that, they've been around a while. Also, that just makes me wonder, actually, when was the first Zeppelin flight, or like the first airship, dirigible, rigid-bodied airship? When was the first one of those? That's actually a question I don't know the answer to. Maybe that's something I'll Google. I'd be interested in finding that out. But yeah, War in the Air, that would be an interesting one. That could lend itself to a video game. Sleeper Awakes, I was thinking as well, could lend itself to like an FPS or something. With like a story of social revolution and whatever else have you. But those are just ideas. Okay, come on, we've got to get back to the standing stones. There's fucking riders around, which is going to make this difficult, but just keep my blunderbuss to hand. We should hopefully be okay. We just need to get those device pieces in there, and then it'll trigger the final cutscene, and we'll be alright. Fucking hell, the landowners off there coming in this direction as well. Okay, where are they? Just keep running. Alright, fuck it. If they see me, it shouldn't be too much of an issue, because I can probably dump... Actually, having said that, I'm worried. Imagine if I triggered the fucking ending scene and then suddenly the landowner did his attack. Because it knocks you over no matter where you are. Right, let's go. Here we go. Blunderbuss Bus Challenge Attempt 2. Done.
Sir, you've done it. I'm bringing the device up to speed now. I hope you won't consider this impertinent, sir, but I'm amazed you survived. Hang on. We'll have you out of there in 3, 2, 1.
Was the landscape always that red when that scene triggered, or was it just the lighting? Felt very red. Red like the surface of Mars and all that. Alright, let's go out of there. Here we are. That was a Blunderbuss Bus Challenge Attempt number 2, everybody. We done it. finished it there, successful, after I flunked it the first time round. So there you go, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed that. I thought it was nice and enjoyable, just a steady little challenge there. So next episode, we'll come back, obviously, to Sir, and I don't know, we'll see what we do. Either it'll be another challenge, or it'll just be a podcast-style episode, like I say, whilst I work out what kind of challenge to do next. So hope you all enjoyed that. Facebook and Twitter links down below, as usual, along with a link to my Propagandist channel for anyone interested in that. Other than that, thank you everybody, and goodbye. There are two things you need to attend this school. One, you have to already be attending high school. Two, you have to be the very best at what you do. No ordinary student could enrol here. The only way in is if you're scouted by the school itself. And standing there at the gate of the ultimate school, filled with the ultimate students. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of reading in this game. Was me. Oh, hello. Is it time to introduce the protagonist?
Before we go any farther, I guess I should introduce myself. My name's Makoto Naegi.
Oh, we got voice acting, have we? Hello there. Oh, okay, no. Oh, right, was it just that one line? Okay. As you can see, I'm nothing but a hopelessly average high school student.